don't think it's too bold of a claim to say that most people wear socks, even myself included, who doesn't like normally wearing socks at all. But they serve a noble purpose. They keep feet warm, they keep feet dry, they fill out the shoes better, and they just look stylish as heck. The only major downside with them is that socks tend to wear out pretty quickly, especially if you're wearing them on the daily. And in most cases, socks are sold as pairs, which means that they are twice as likely to wear out. Also, is it just me, or do socks wear out more quickly these days? I have pairs of socks that I've had for 10 years that are just now getting holes, versus socks that I've bought maybe 6 months ago that have holes in them already. I'm about to make another strong claim and say that nobody likes to have their toesies poking out of holes. And if you are like me and hate to throw away perfectly fine foot sweaters just because it's got a hole in it or a wear on the heel, then you've come to the right place. We can fix them. We have the technology. Hello, I'm Ariel, and in today's video we're going to jump straight into sock mending. I'll be showing you several techniques I use to repair my socks that you can use to take your old and tired, or maybe just boring socks, and making them into something that's new and colorful and uniquely yours. So, without further ado, let's begin. What is your major malfunction, huh? I don't need a scarf. Thank you. Thanks, Freddie. Thank you, Fredrickson. To get started, select your socks. Mine are these Social D socks I've had for, 15 years. They've only recently started showing their age, which honestly is pretty good in sock standards. Whether you turn your socks inside out before mending them is up to you. For most methods, turning the sock inside out before starting means the stitches are less visible on the outside when you're done. I usually don't turn my socks because I like the mending to be visible, but that's just a personal choice. Next, you'll need to stuff your sock with a darning tool. This can be anything really. A large antique ornament, a small plastic one is fine too. You can use a small Tupperware, a glass bottle works fine, or even a nondescript chip tube. Anything that helps stabilize the sock and prevent you from sewing it closed. For me, I'm using this wooden darning mushroom. Use a rubber band or a hair tie to stabilize the object in the sock. Next, you'll need a needle, ideally a long and blunt, but a short and sharp one is fine, if that's all you have. Just be careful. I have all of these ones that I don't use, because I like to use the short and sharp one, and I've pricked myself several times. Lastly, thread. There are a number of threads out there in different weights and textures. I'm using embroidery thread. This is a 6-ply, but I will be splitting my thread into 2 3-ply sections. This first method is called Honeycomb Darning and features a blanket stitch worked in a circle to create a crochet-like finish. It's great for toe socks. To begin, slip your needle in a few centimeters from the hole or the thinning spot, and base stitch in a circular shape around the problem spot. You want these stitches to be pretty close together, like a machine stitch. Once you've reached the end, you'll loop your needle into the start of the first stitch and then back through the new stitch, just like a blanket stitch. Personally, I like to catch a bit of the sock underneath with each new loop as a stabilizer. Feel free to tell me if this is a terrible practice. I only know what I know. When you finish the first round, you just continue on with the next round using the same blanket stitch until the hole gets smaller and smaller. You can add a new color to give the designs more variety, as I did here, which I did by weaving the old thread through the previous work, and then I started with the new thread close to where the old thread was, and started a whole new round using the new thread. Eventually your hole will get small enough, you'll need to degrease the stitches. You can do this by simply skipping the next stitch and instead looping the following stitch and pulling taut. When your hole is super tiny, you will whip stitch the remainder closed, which I've helpfully shown here off screen. Then weave the tailing thread through the patch and into the sock, and then cut off the extra. Play around with different shapes and color combos. This next method is called crosshatching or woven patch. It's great for covering large areas of thinning. Start on the fringes of the thinning edges and make a long stitch across. Turn your needle around and go back with another stitch close to the first. Continue this back and forth in a uniform fashion across the problem area. There are many ways to go about this. You can baste around the edges first and create a perfectly square patch, or, like me, create a vaguely rectangular blob that was uniformed on a budget. When your lines are done, run a new set of lines going the opposite direction, weaving in between each of the threads. I personally like to pick up bits of the sock underneath to tack it down. That is optional. I cannot speak for the overall durability, but it feels good in my soul. You can work this method in chunks if you'd like. Here I cut up the larger thinning area by catching a few threads in the middle, so it's more manageable to me during the weaving section. For clarity and fun, I choose a new color for the weave. You want to make sure your weave is tight by keeping the straight stitches close together and crossing threads snug. This helps keep gaps from forming. Once the patch is complete, you'll want to weave the threads into the sock. Doing this prevents it from coming undone. You don't want to tie the ends in a knot. I know it's tempting, but you'll definitely feel it and it'll feel like a tiny little pebble that you can never get rid of. Do not do it. The next method is probably the quickest. It's called the seed method. This is great for strengthening thin spots as well, such as this sock, which doesn't have any holes, but the pad is thin. Start outside the worn edge and weave your needle through the fabric, collecting a few fibers at a time. Go back and forth, much like the cross-hatching method, picking up only little bits of fabric at a time. This creates tiny little stitches or seeds across the sock. And that is all there is to it. You can stop here or go over the area again in the other direction, creating a pseudo crosshatch by going through the seed stitches, as illustrated here with the lighter purple I weaved across the darker purple seeds. The last method is simply patching. Patches are great for big holes or large thinning areas. You'll want a fabric that stretches with the sock. I chose scraps of stretch velvet for the heels of these ones. There are a number of ways to secure a patch. This one I did a whip stitch on, then I seed stitched any thinning area around the edges. To be honest, this probably isn't going to hold up super well over time, but these are house socks, so that's okay with me. A better method is using a running stitch across the whole patch, which is popular in simple sashiko methods of mending. Place your patch in the desirable area and then run a thread through it in one direction. You can then layer patches or thread over top for a unique decorative design. And that's really all there is to it. This style of patch is more secure than the previous style and it will last longer. And that's all I have for you today. Go out and mend those socks. There you have it. These are the sock saving methods I use to keep my toesies secure and my feet warm. There are other methods you can use, such as matching the knit style of your socks, which is best for those chunkier knitted socks. You can also combine 2 or more socks into one pair, making it for a colorful mix match sock that you can use these methods to join together, or you can serge them together. You can really add uniqueness to your socks by using different color threads, one for the vertical, one for the horizontal. You can also play around with different yarns and thread weights. Heck, textiles is a drawing medium. You can put a bird on it, you can draw a face, you can put hearts or applique type of things on it. The world is your oyster when it comes to sock repair. For the most part, we use them every day, so it is so important to be able to mend and repair your socks and clothes in general. It will contribute to a more sustainable and mindful approach to fashion as it reduces waste. It contributes to a sustainable ecosystem. It reduces fast fashions, and also it helps save a few bucks and kill an afternoon. Above all else, remember that just have fun with it. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look beautiful. Mending is an art in itself. It is uniquely yours. No one can take that away from you. And if you would like to share with me your mended socks or any repairs you made using these methods, feel free to tag me on Instagram. My handle is Snowman Leopard, and if you want to follow along for any more updates, you can follow me on my Ko-fi account at Leopard Lady Vintage. All of those links will be in the description below. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps tremendously on this channel, and I appreciate when you do. I really wanted to try something new with this video and do more of a how-to style as opposed to just showing you, hey, this is what I made. Cool, right? If you have any suggestions you would like to give me for new videos that you'd like to see, just leave a comment below because I love hearing from you. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, you have a good day. Bye! Say hello, Freddy.